My half-sister, HS, and I have no real relationship. Background: my dad divorced our mother when I was 5 and HS was still 4, but going on 5. HS was the product of my mother's affair and born exactly 9 months after me. My dad stayed with my mother up until I, at 5, told him about the man my mother kept bringing over when he wasn't home. That would be HS's father. My dad gave my mother the house in exchange for removing his name from HS's birth certificate. He paid her child support for me up until I was 8 and my mother abandoned me during her week because her AP didn't want to take a child that wasn't his to visit his family for the holidays anymore, and HS pretty much hated me because her grandpa supposedly liked me better. Dad tried to be civil and make sure I had a relationship with HS after that, but I didn't want anything to do with her either, so I never spent time with her after that. HS herself would say she didn't have a sister, so I never claimed her. 8. A question and advice needed. The day I made my account, HS called me. I don't know how she got my number, but she was sobbing about our mom kicking her out of the house and not wanting anything to do with her now that she's married to, random name, don't know who he is. I just hung up on her to be honest, and she started texting me that she really needs her sister's help. She says she has nowhere else to go. Her father cut contact a while ago and no one is willing to come up to get her. She lives 6 hours away from where I live, which I guess is easy to figure. I live next door to my dad. I'm a bit torn because when she called again, I told her we're not actually sisters and I'm not coming to get her, nor am I giving her a place to stay until she's back on her feet. Then I hung up again. I blocked her number, but she's been calling from other numbers, and now I have people from my mother's family telling me I'm an awful sister and I should be more understanding because I was once the child that got kicked out. I just need some insight because I want to know if I'm in the wrong or if I should have gone about it differently. Comments. Fayad. NTA, your mother's family has a lot of nerve. Are any of them stepping forward to help your HS out? Ultimately, you don't owe her anything due to some shared genetics. At the same time, do you want to act the same way she did? I'd definitely be cautious bringing someone into my home that I didn't trust enough to not rob me blind, etc. You know her better than we do. If you do decide to be the change you would like to see in the world, just be certain to lay out all of the possible ground rules ahead of time. Oop, that's my main question, the act the same way she did part. Had this been a few years earlier, I would have helped her, I think. When we were kids, I'm pretty sure she was just parroting whatever her parents were saying. But we're both 25 now and I don't get why after 17 years, I'm the one she comes running to. I don't think I should have said what I said when she was already so emotional, but I just don't get it. No one is helping her as far as I know. Most of the people calling/texting are people I don't have a relationship with. My grandma claims she has a full house right now, and since I technically live alone, she thinks I should help HS out. But she's saying that because of the whole family helps family mindset. I don't know her all that well anymore either. She's as much of a stranger to me now as she is to you. I just want to know what others would do in my place. Update 1. They dropped her off at my house. Rant. 4 days ago, I made my account and contemplated asking if I was an off for something. My half-sister, HS, had called me crying, saying our mother kicked her out and she really needs her sister. I hung up the first time, and when she kept calling and texting, I told her we're not actually sisters and I wasn't driving 6 hours to pick her up nor letting her stay with me. I've been getting non-stop texts and calls from my maternal family since then. My maternal grandmother, the only person I stayed in any contact with, pretty much begged me to be a good sister and let HS stay with me. She told HS I have my own house, gave her my number, ect. I've blocked my grandmother and everyone saying that I should be understanding because we've both been abandoned by our mother. It isn't the same. I told my grandmother this, but no one seems willing to acknowledge that. For context, HS and I are exactly 9 months apart in age. She's the product of an affair and my dad stayed with my biological mother, BM, until I was 5 and told him she kept bringing a man around when he wasn't home, her affair partner, AP, and HS's biological dad. Dad divorced BM and gave her the house in exchange for removing his name from HS's birth certificate. BM lost custody of me when I was 8 after abandoning me because AP didn't want to bring a child that wasn't his to family gatherings. Dad tried to keep it civil so I could have a relationship with HS, but she was a mini AP and never viewed me as a sister. I didn't like being around her, so my dad never forced me to. BM, AP, and HS moved not long after this. BM had been in childcare and lost her job because no one wants to hire you to watch their kids when you abandon yours in the middle of the night. I haven't seen HS in 17 years. I didn't know what she looked like until I came home today. She was sitting on my porch with a suitcase and a car, I think my grandmother's, pulled off as soon as I parked. I didn't get out of the car. I was too angry to even move, and I'm still angry right now. She kept saying she needs me and started crying, telling me that our mom was awful, her dad cut contact, and BM's new partner doesn't want her in his house. I live next door to my dad, so when HS started knocking on my car window after I just stared at her, I called him and told him what was going on and asked what I should do. Dad told me to stay in my car and call the cops, say I had a trespasser, which I did. I didn't get out until the cops came, and when they did, HS told them I agreed to let her stay and now I'm leaving her homeless. I just showed them the texts, specifically the only texts I gave in response to everyone demanding you let her stay. No, do you have the space? No, to she's your sister. No, to can she please stay with you? Nothing but refusals before I blocked people. When HS kept saying we're sisters, I told the cops I haven't seen this woman in 17 years. I don't know her. I didn't even know what she looked like. We're not family beyond sharing an egg donor. I went as far as unblocking my grandmother and calling her. I didn't even get to speak. She said/yelled, "Look, Op, I love you, but you need to get over this. She's family and she needs you, and I've told your father you'd go to hell if he raised you to be so damn selfish, and you definitely will because she's going through the same thing you went through." She hung up right after, and I told the cops they can book HS or drop her at a shelter. I don't care. I just want her off my property. They took her, and now I'm sitting here on my dad's couch wondering what the hell just happened. He doesn't want me staying alone right now in case they show back up. I'm so pissed right now, I don't get it. 17 damn years of no contact. I only speak to my grandmother on holidays. I don't know most of the aunts and uncles and cousins that blew up my phone, but because BM pushed me out I have to do what they tell me to. I'm 25 years old. I've only had my dad and my paternal family for years. BM and her family haven't done crap for me. None of them even know when my damn birthday is, because even my grandmother texts me on the wrong day, not even a phone call. If HS needs help so badly, one of you should help her. I don't know her. I don't know any of you either. I'm not letting an entire stranger into my house. And 6 hours is too far to visit when I had surgery, but not too far to try and force me to do something? Comments. Hawkeye in DC. This is crazy. Why is no one on the maternal side stepping up? And how old is this half-sister? It also just seems so bizarre that your maternal grandmother would drive a 12-hour round trip to basically ditch your half-sister with you. Oop, she's 24 to 25. Her birthday is close, I think. And it is crazy that she drove down here. I know there's far more to this situation and I really don't want to know. I just want them to leave me be. Hawkeye in DC. I know you don't plan to let her move in with you, but don't ever change your mind on that. She'll likely never leave, won't pay rent/contribute towards costs, and you'd have to legally evict her. Save yourself the headache. Oop, the nightmare of an eviction process is part of why I don't like the idea of anyone staying with me tbh. It's 7 nights in a row here for guests to become tenants, and the one time a friend of mine let someone stay with her, 1 week turned into 6 months of court hearings and damaged property. Definitely gonna save myself the headache. Update 2, they dropped her off at my house. I checked the camera footage last night/this morning. HS and BM's mother had been looking under mats, rocks, in potted plants, the mailbox, and checking the doors. Probably were looking for a spare. I don't keep one on my property, and my dad, grandma, and grandpa have keys they keep with theirs. My uncle did an overhaul of mine and dad's cameras. We now have ones that send notifications to our phones when motion is detected. Also got Ring doorbells for the front and back doors. There are other features, and all the cameras are better hidden as well. I went to the police department while he was doing this and brought my grandpa with me. HS was booked for trespassing, but not held very long since BM's mother picked her up from the station. They stuck to the lie of me offering HS a place to stay and gave statements. Not sure how that's going to go, but I'm taking steps to protect myself, my property, and my dad and his property. HS doesn't have a record beyond this, so this was her first offense. I don't know how I feel about that tbh. It sounds awful, but I had hoped she would have at least one prior, because commenters make it seem like that would make the outcome of a permanent row into favorable. BM's mother does have a record though. Harassment, trespassing, and domestic violence. I shared this with the police as well. Either way, I was able to get a temporary restraining order today, so there's that. I gave the camera footage to the police alongside copies of the texts, printed out and on USB, gave a statement, and they called a judge to get the TRO issued. I talked with them about other things like self-defense recommendations, overhauling my security system, getting a gun for protection, and so on. I was really anxious and just kept talking because it finally hit me that these people know where I live and they're willing to make the 6 hours to harass me and get inside my home. The texts and voice messages haven't stopped. I unblocked and muted. There are direct and indirect threats. BM's mother is adamant that since I have an entire house to myself, a stable job, and no children, I will be housing HS or she'd give me the SS whopping my dad should've. HS has only left one voice message about coming over later today and that she's staying with me because that's what blood does, they help. When there was no response, she sent multiple texts telling me I need to be more understanding, that she's in a tough spot, and that she's moving in for at least a week until she's able to support herself. It's 7 days to gain tenancy here. Additional clarification for people asking about the age gap. I'm a February 1st baby, HS is a November 29th baby. I say exactly 9 months because I'm not counting the weeks and days, just felt that people knowing we're the same age was relevant and gave context to why I have no relationship with her. I don't know if she was premature. I never asked TBH, and there are people saying they have similar gaps around them, so I have nothing to add. Multiple people also asked if I hate HS and that I sound resentful for things she said as a child and for things her parents did. In my first post, I talked to someone in the comments and admitted that had this been a few years earlier, I may have helped HS without much thought. I know as children, she was just parroting her parents. I don't fault her for that, nor do I blame her for BM abandoning me. But it's been 17 years. We've been legal adults for 7 of those years. She could have reached out at any point, but didn't, and said she had no sister. I also could have reached out at any point, but also didn't. I just moved on with my life. I was in therapy since I was abandoned, and it took me years to move on from no one on that side actually wanting me. Now she's making herself a problem. BM's mother aside, HS was sitting on my porch with a suitcase ready to force herself into my home and life. She allowed herself to be driven 6 hours to my home, sat on my porch for half an hour, and then lied to police all after I said no multiple times. She never claimed me until she needed something, and now she's forcing herself into my life on the basis of being family. I don't hate her, that's too much energy, but I do resent her now alongside her grandmother and the rest of her family. I was ignored for years, and now I feel unsafe in my own home just because HS and those around her can't take no for an answer. This isn't about BM's affair, this is about HS and her family ruining my safe space, my home, with their crap. The past is a factor in that resentment now because, again, I haven't spoken to her in 17 years, I didn't know what she looked like, but suddenly we're sisters because she needs someplace to stay. I definitely resent that. Also, I feel validated in my choices, posting to Reddit, asking for and taking advice, listening to my dad. The attorney I spoke to pretty much said all the same things commenters have. Unblocking and muting to get an evidence of harassment. Calling the cops and showing them the messages because it proves there was no implied invitation. This is apparently the biggest thing I had to worry about, because even letting HS stay on my porch could have worked against me. Giving the cops the camera footage of HS and BM's mother looking for a spare key was also a good move. Even going about upgrading security, getting self-defense items, and asking the officers about self-defense recommendations and my wish to get a gun for protection works in my favor. It shows that even though this was HS's first offense, I don't feel safe, and she's a major cause of that. And I don't. So thank you again for all the advice. If they show up like they said, I'm gonna set off my security system and call the cops. Edit, from a comment, it wasn't active, the TRO, when I posted the update because they hadn't been served yet. They were found at a hotel near my home and were served. A neighbor saw them and called the police. I was reporting the text though. The TRO is on both HS and BM's mother. Update 3, concerned cousin on HS. Was going through the first messages sent to me and found one of the many I muted without reading. This is from a cousin of HS. Note, the order of info was edited to be better understood. A lot was blocks of text, so I tried to put it in order. AP cut contact with HS when she was 20. She covered BM's affair with Rando. AP stopped paying her tuition and cut her off financially. HS's work history is non-existent. She was kicked out by BM a month ago because she was sleeping with Rando and one of his sons. Said son turned 18 2 months ago. HS came home to hers and Rando's things on the curb and all the locks changed. Police weren't involved. The cousin doesn't know if BM told the boy's mother, but she did tell the entire family. Essentially said protect you kids and marriage. HS claims she only slept with him on his birthday, but BM claims he was a minor when HS slept with him. The family is adamant about getting her somewhere safe to stay long term because HS is pregnant. No one likes her, but believe abandoning her is wrong due to her pregnancy. The cousin expresses doubt about the pregnancy. HS showed GM a positive pregnancy test, but no one else has been given any proof. HS has a history of lying. HS couch surfed with those that don't have kids. So far she's borrowed someone's car without permission, taken expensive items to pawn, taken money meant for interview clothes and travel, then blew it on expensive mom and baby outfits. When cops are involved, she lies and has gotten someone arrested by claiming SA when they tried to have her removed from their property. The plot to get HS into my house was the idea of an uncle, one of GM's 3 sons. GM apparently brags/complains about me being young with no kids, a well-paid job, and a house I own. Essentially, this uncle said I had no responsibilities, disposable income, and plenty of room. Because no one wants to outright abandon HS, this was the best plan. The cousin, don't give an inch, not even a ride to a shelter. Someone tried and she caused a scene, nearly got them arrested because she kept lying about the situation. Please read this. I read your 2 posts. Stay safe. Comments. 7th as an oak. Great job of the cousin filling in these outrageous blanks. Wow. And Dia Jewel Jacks. Op should keep in touch with this cousin to see what else is coming. Surely they aren't done yet. Ghoulish, honey. I figured there was a pregnancy involved when there was talk of meeting the minimum number of days for tenancy. They want her to stay long enough that you can't force her out quickly, making it likely that she has the baby, if actually pregnant, and how could you possibly kick out the baby? Op, please protect yourself as I think this is only the beginning of it. Stage, hand, red. Honest worry about your holiday plans. I wouldn't leave your house/travel for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and be ready for her to make a scene on one of those days and try to get into the house if you have guests. Or porch pirate you stuff. Stay safe, Op. We're rooting for you. Oop, definitely preparing for that. I've read all of Camper Nomad's posts and the potential lengths HS and GM may go is scary AF. My grandma, the real one, brought this up herself and suggested we just have it here. That way if they pop up around holidays, all of us are present and ready for the BS. Thank you. Update 4, I'm alive and well. No major updates today. Texts and calls have all stopped, my entire neighborhood is on alert, and the family rotation continues. One of my friends stayed last night and a different friend agreed to stay tonight. Today will be spent with my aunt, the one with the keychain and fisticuff bracelet, and grandma. No one showed up at my house in the middle of the night. I'm following the advice of multiple people, the first being about making an FU binder. My aunt suggested making transcripts of all the saved voice messages, which I think is a pretty good addition to this to go along with a USB drive of them. So that'll be part of what I do today. The second piece of advice I have saved is about documenting every day, even if nothing happens, in a spiral notebook. I started on this immediately. We'll also be recording when I go to and from work or anywhere TBH. Also, multiple people on the door screws, that was among the first things done when I brought the house. And my windows were all changed on purchase as well. They're impact windows, so it'll take a lot of effort to break them. My uncle has always been big on home safety, so he did all of that with me. Even though I'm next door to my dad and fairly close to the rest of the family, he always says I'm still a woman alone in a house, you can never be too safe. I feel a bit better with all the advice offered. If anyone is having similar trouble, take the advice offered in the comments. It really helped and I'm grateful for all the help. Holiday vacations has officially been cancelled and refunded. Always invest in travel insurance. A lot of stories shared with me have me on edge about leaving my home unattended. My neighbors offered to watch my house, but I'd feel more comfortable being present if something happens. So this year I'm gonna be hosting Thanksgiving and potentially Christmas. My grandma suggested this and she's getting really into it, so today might also be shopping for decorations. Thank you guys again.